Hi y'all, welcome back to This Vibe. I'm Vivian Camille. I was a backpacking guide in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado. I have trained and now raced at altitude. While I don't live at altitude, I know how to maximize my limited time at altitude and adapt quickly with my body. I'm bringing you along this week to show you exactly how I do it. The first thing that I do when I get to altitude is do an easy run. Right now, I'm just getting back into running. If I was in peak training, doing 80-mile weeks, this easy 3 might actually look like an easy 5 to 8 miles. So everything that I'm saying today, you can absolutely scale. All right, this was a nice little stop. Onwards. Good morning, it is day 2 in Flagstaff. Isn't this such a beautiful place? I love it up here, and I am stoked to be hiking up Kendrick today. That's where I'm headed right now. Day 2 is past the 24 hours. We're getting into that 24 to 72 hour of suck at altitude. This is usually like the worst feeling time for me. I will say my run last night was easy peasy. That's how it usually is for me when I get to altitude, especially if I've driven up. I don't really feel it until the day after. This morning I fueled well with a big breakfast. I have been fueling in the car on my way with a small snack, and I will fuel continuously as I hike up the mountain and then back down. For me, this is a very important stage, making sure that I'm hydrated and well fed so that my body has available energy to start this red blood cell production as well as the recovery process. This 24 to 72 hour window being at altitude is where I will get the most fatigue, feel most out of breath, and need to give my body the best chance at recovery and easing into the adaptation process. Being in such a beautiful place like this, it is always tempting to get here, plan some massive 20-mile run, and go for it, to go explore and see all the things. I know myself now, I've done this enough times where that can lead to maladaptation, altitude sickness, and then also just create massive fatigue, which will set you back later, especially for someone like me who's heading to a training camp after this. I want to be ready, well adapted as I move into that. That being said, on my second day at altitude, I make sure to plan a fun, easy route that is strictly a hike. Keeping my intensity low helps keep that heart rate in check because it will be elevated with my body producing all this new hematocrit to compensate for the lack of red blood cells I have here and my lack of oxygen intake. Picking a hike like Kendrick Peak, it's going to be about 9 miles. It'll be nice low intensity. I have no pressure around it. There's no workout built into it. It is just a nice hike to enjoy the scenery, which gives my mind that feeling of satisfaction that I am doing the training that I'm here to do and doing something, but it's also giving my body a chance to adapt properly, slowly, with ease, so that we can be ready to hit the pavement and go crazy when I get to Silverton. We have a little bit more driving to do, and then I'm gonna suit up and start hiking. Woo! I made it to the top of Kendrick Peak. As I was hiking, I was monitoring my heart rate, especially as I got higher up in altitude. I think it tops out around 9,000 or so. Unlike the past when I've trained at altitude, I've almost competed with nature, trying to prove nature wrong, that I was so fit, altitude wouldn't faze me. Now I can look back and laugh at that and laugh at how funny it is to compete with nature. I am a part of nature and there's no need to compete with it, but to flow with it and to observe and respect the natural biological adaptations that have to take place when I am in an environment like this. I've noticed over the years when I've taken rest days, when I've taken a few steps back in pacing, that's when I see real improvement. Discipline needs to infuse every aspect of my training. So when the day needs to be slow, I run or hike slow and monitor my heart rate. Not in a way that I'm checking every single second, but I am monitoring it as I go up and taking necessary breaks if needed. Today I was filming, so those are built in. I have to go back and forth to pick you guys up. As I've grown into this sport and learned to absolutely love it, I've also learned with the sport, studied it, studied the elites, studied the science, and I know now that 3 easier days that are chill, that I'm focused on recovery, very intentional with fueling and hydrating and not overdoing it, are going to be far more productive as I move through my coming training camp than me trying to compete with nature, prove something, have all these expectations, and really put my body in this red zone as it tries to adapt and is already taxed more than it would be lower in a place like Tucson or at sea level. It's really neat to me that I know the science now. I also know my body over years of training camps, training at altitude, backpacking, guiding, that sort of thing, and am able to flow with it a bit more and be more at ease with it. We're gonna head down, finish out our day. It was a good hike, but now I will be recovering for the rest of the day. What that looks like for me is making sure I'm getting in all the electrolytes I can. This is all electrolyte. I'll finish this and probably switch over to water and maybe do a little bit more before bed and eat things that sound good, anything that sounds good. As I gain in altitude, my metabolic rate will be higher and faster, but my appetite is usually suppressed. Y'all know me, I am very adamant about fueling and hydrating through all of training, but when I am at altitude, I am even more dialed in to fueling and being intentional with eating because I don't always feel like it, so I do have to force feed sometimes. Luckily, today I have an appetite, yesterday I had an appetite, and I imagine I will continue to. But I will be making sure I'm getting in enough protein this evening. I have some venison for dinner, which is going to be helpful for me because as I'm at altitude, I have in the past struggled with iron levels. I want to make sure I'm maximizing my iron absorption and getting in iron-rich foods as well as taking my iron supplement. The rest of today is going to be rest and recovery, giving myself space to chill in the in-between time between all these workouts. I'll do some rolling and stretching and that sort of thing, and tomorrow will be another day at altitude. Arguably, the most important part of training at altitude is the recovery process. I am all about recovery. I am all about getting 10 hours of sleep, no matter what kind of training I'm doing, but especially when I am at altitude. This Airbnb backs up right into the national forest and is so peaceful as the sun sets and when it rises again the next day. I love training here. There's so much peace and rest here for the body, but also for the soul. I find that coming here is always a mental break and gives me that rest that I need to be strong at altitude. 3 bats. yesterday I ran with Selena, the friend I was staying with in Flagstaff. We kept it easy. She's coming back from injury. We did a walk jog.
Elite training. Yes, elite athletes.
40 minutes. It was lovely and once again, easy. Now that I have trained at altitude for 3 days, I am ready to hit the ground running as we move into this North Face trail running weekend on the Hard Rock course. It's not always easy to keep it easy when I'm in the mountains, but over these 3 days, I've felt pretty successful at reining it in, keeping my calm, and keeping that heart rate in check as well. Thank you all so much for joining along. I appreciate it. Have a fabulous week. Until next time, happy trails. Bye!